Hey there, this is Chris Buckholz, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about slide technique. Slide technique is comprised by two different areas, in my opinion. One is how we move the slide, and one is where we put the slide. How we move the slide is predicated by how we hold the slide, our concept of how quickly we need to move the slide, and then how well our slide moves mechanically. You got to have a decent slide mechanically in order to be able to play cleanly and fast, play with a legato without glissando in it. And this slide is just a few inches out of parallel with the ground, and you can see it moves well. That's really what you're looking for in a slide. If you don't have that, you either need to get your slide fixed or you need to keep it cleaner and lubricate it better. Basically, I clean my slide out with a trombone slide cleaning rod after every playing day. So when I get done practicing or a gig or whatever, I swab it out with a trombone slide cleaning rod threaded with cheesecloth and wipe off the inner slide tubes very well, and then put it in its case dry. And then the next day, the first thing I do is lubricate the slide. If you do this and get in the habit of it, your slide is going to move well all the time. And then once a month, I give the slide a bath with warm, soapy water. I use laundry detergent, liquid laundry detergent, to wash up my slide. It's better pH balance for the metal in your slide, and a flexible cleaning brush. Second of all, how we hold the slide is going to affect how we move the slide. One of the things that I encourage students to do is get in the habit of have the fingers and wrist assist in the movement of the slide. And you should be able to move the slide in and out one position either way with just the wrist and fingers and not really moving the forearm. One of the ways you can work on this is stand in front of a mirror so you can watch your slide arm and practice the Remington, quote, relaxation exercise from the Remington warm-up. It goes like this. And so I am trying to just move the slide out one position and back with just my wrist and fingers. But most students, when they try this, they'll move the slide almost totally with their slide arm, their right arm. And you need to go through a period of watching yourself and making sure that you're moving the slide with just your wrist and fingers in order to break out of that habit. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that I don't have a rigid grip on the slide, really. I'm kind of bouncing the slide in between the pad of my thumb and this joint on my first two fingers of my right hand. Why is that? Well, if I don't do that, let's say I'm trying to play a Clark study really fast. I mean, it sounds horrible. And it sounds horrible because the horn is jerking from the fact that I am keeping my slide arm absolutely rigid while I'm trying to go fast. So you have to use both the wrist and fingers as kind of like a shock absorber to help move the slide quickly, and the forearm in order to go fast. And you may not be able to see it very well at that tempo, but I am kind of bouncing the slide. I'm kind of tossing it out to fourth position and catching it there, pushing it out with my thumb, stopping it with these first two fingers, and then throwing it back. Yes, this is a hard concept for students to get, and a lot of them really hate it at first. And I would encourage you to try to do this because you will be able to play fast and clean if you're able to execute this. Where we put the slide, two things comprise that. Number one is, where's the note in tune? If I'm playing this F above the staff, that's about right here on the slide, maybe you can see that. And that's about an inch out from where I normally put first position. That's a good bit out. It doesn't seem like it when I'm playing, but that's about where it is. That whole F partial series, all those notes are very sharp and you have to lower them a good bit. The D partial series below that, that's much more squirrely. D is usually in a little bit flat first. C sharp, regular second, C regular third for me, B natural, sharp 4, B flat, sharp 5, A, sharp 6. And really, I've figured a lot of this stuff out, not only being told and scolded by teachers to put the slide in the right spot, but by practicing with the tuner and tuning drones. So with the tuner, basically we want to put the line in the middle without lipping it around. It's very easy when we know that the goal is to put the line of the tuner in the middle to be in tune, to lip it around. And we want to use the slide to put the note into tune. And so that will give you a true assessment of where that note needs to be for your horn. And if I change mouthpieces or lead pipes or horns, that note could be in a slightly different spot. It might be farther out, it might be a little bit farther in. So you need to experiment around with this with your particular setup of equipment. Use a tuner and also practice with tuning drones. Tuning drones are great for not only figuring out where the note is, and you're going to practice with tuning drones with earbuds in and figure out where the note is in tune without beats, but also tell you where intervals are in tune. For example, a major third has to be lowered a great deal to be in tune and not get beats. A perfect fifth has to be raised a little bit. So there's a lot of great uses for tuning drones, and you can help this figure out where these positions are and then use them all the time. Scales, lip slurs, Bordoni, whatever it is you're working on, put the slide in the right spot. Don't just play lip slurs and not make these pitch corrections. The more you can do them, the better you'll get at them. And then finally, alternate positions, which really shouldn't be called alternate positions. They're just intelligent slide choices. The higher we go in the instrument, the more pitches we can get in a particular position and the more options we have. And you should get used to using these. And here are the slide rules passed on to me by the great John Swallow. Number 1, keep half steps on the same partial series. Here's a very common example in the key of B flat or in E flat. So most students will, in a B flat scale, and that's pretty clean, but it's not as clean as, because I'm not getting glissando between the first and third position notes. I'm playing the D out in fourth, slightly flat fourth, and that eliminates any glissando. You can play very, very cleanly if you get used to playing in alternate positions. And no, they do not have to sound any different. In fact, I would argue the fact that if you're really proficient with alternate positions, the sound will be better because you're not having to work so hard to get out to a, quote, primary position note, and you're not going to get glissando either. So you can play just as clean as any valve player if you're putting the slide in these, quote, alternate positions. Don't work so hard. Figure it out. When I was in the Jazz Ambassadors, we had an opener and a closer, and they were always the same every single night. And I started playing these in all on alternate positions. So we would do Stars and Stripes Forever, a Dave Volpe arrangement, and I would play it all out in odd positions just to get used to doing that because it was so boring playing the same music over and over and over again. And you can do the same thing, challenge yourself to make intelligent slide choices that enhance the music, that make it sound better, rather than saying, well, I'm going to play it in this position because it sounds better. Well, it sounds better because you're not used to playing it in the alternate position. Get used to where that note lies. If you're buzzing the note correctly, it's going to come out the instrument correctly as long as the slide is in the right spot. Yes, the overtone series is slightly different, but if you're going quickly, it's really not going to make any difference. And so don't be fooled into thinking that you have to play everything in first position. There are lots of positions available on the instrument. Get used to using them so that you have a fluid and clean slide technique. So to recap, how you move the slide and where you put the slide comprise slide technique. Move the slide quickly, put it in the right spot. And that's all for now. See you in the next video.